So today on the program is Melvin Altes.
Hmm.
Is living in New York City in the United States. Melvin is the manager of Denali Futbol Soccer Initiative in New York. He's also the founder of charity football program, Clip for Success Soccer, also based in New York City.
Hmm.
Um, he's also the founder of La Masia de Santa Rosa here in the Philippines. The name sounds really very interesting. It reminds me of Barcelona La Masia.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yes, right.
yeah, I think we'll have to talk about that in detail when we go forward. He's also a soccer advocate for grassroots soccer youth development. Is it also in the U.S.?
Yeah, U.S. and the Philippines as well, because
Okay, okay,
that's the driver of all these programs that, or the initiative that you mentioned is
okay.
the advocacy, to promote and to push youth soccer development in the areas where I live in, or I used to live in.
Okay.
It is like giving back to the community. Yeah.
Okay. And from your profile, I've seen that you are technology specialist.
That's my hobby. Yes.
Okay, oh, that's good. It's another thing to know. I mean, this is the world of information technology.
That's
So,
right. It's the information age, right? So
okay, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about the Denali Football Soccer Initiative based in the New York City.
right.
Can you give us information about the Denali Football Soccer
Well,
Initiative?
the Denali Futbol, you kind of position it as it's a platform, right? Um, we say we're not a club, we're Denali Football, and that's already like a statement in terms of we want to bring something different, something something that the traditional clubs are not actually doing to their players. It's a platform for players to also to shine and to experience soccer beyond their local clubs. So what we do is we identify, invite players in the community that we know that has the motivation to continue and has the motivation and to perform to the highest level. For instance, Denali Football, we go to showcases, tournaments, international tournaments. In fact, we went to the largest youth international tournament in Sweden two times in 2017 and 2018. Those kind of thing, the local clubs here doesn't do because that take a lot of preparation, commitment, and again, um, this is something that you try to look at, like what do players need? More playing time, more experience, exposure, and by doing that, they kind of it's not about differentiating themselves, but trying to figure out where I am in at now, at this stage, where I am in at my football. What do I need to do? What is it that they're doing there that make them, successful?
Different,
So
yeah.
yeah, this is a way to open up mind. It doesn't conflict with the club, with the local club, but it does complement, it does fill in those gaps, I should say. I think that's a better word, to fill in those gaps that club will not take, that club will not go there, because as you know, it's a pay to play structure here in the US, and I think a lot of clubs outside Europe or South America is similar to that, and the Philippines is no exception to that. There's the Real Amigos, right? The way it started
Yes, Real
also is
Amigos, yes.
the way it started also is like group of friends that who wants to play, and basically the philosophy of Denali football, the way it started is very similar to that. That there are this group of kids that want to play, and they're not getting enough playing time in their teams, in their respective club teams. Why? For some reason, for a different kind of factors. But in Denali, it's for them, it's they have the freedom. They have the freedom to experiment. They have the freedom to apply what they've learned from their clubs. They have the freedom to try and fail without any kind of repercussion, or you don't. The coaches are not yelling at them. It is them. So to them, that freedom, lead to some discoveries. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do this. So that is actually what we bring on the table. So it started like that. It started as a small team. We 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 participate in a lot of indoor games, winter indoor games, futsal, and eventually we landed in in Sweden, which is the World Youth Cup, which is like 17,000, 1,700 teams, around the
Yeah.
world represented. It's like the mini Olympics, or mini World Cup. So it's a wonderful, wonderful experience to have. And now we have all these kids that you can see, the kids who got involved with Denali. They're the one who continue on. They're the one who are taking it to the next level. They're gonna be playing for college. Some are actually trying out for a professional team. So in a way, there is something that we kind of like help them to keep going on. Don't lose it. Keep going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if not if not without that platform, probably a lot of these kids already give up, given up, and I'm not really good, but a lot of these kids are continuing. So the initiative kind of, I think it helped, it works, and that's basically what Denali is. It's a platform for motivated players to shine on their own merits, and to really understand what they want to do. And it's not just football that we're feeding them with helpful information to guide them, like, okay, and or actually bring them the information that probably they don't know, that will be helpful
Okay.
for them. But
Okay.
we let the coach be the guide, and let the game be the teacher. That is
Oh,
what we do.
okay. Just for my viewers, in case they have this question in their mind to ask, I know you've said that you recruit players in the community that really wants to play,
Yeah.
but I know some of my viewers will have this question also, that do you actually recruit foreign players also into the program, or can players abroad apply to join Denali or to participate in your tournament or anything?
Well, that is actually we don't target players that are outside the U.S. Foreign players could be here visiting, right, or he's studying here. If we have is in the area, and we have the program, and we're running some kind of we're in a league, for example, or a tournament. Absolutely, they're welcome to join. Um, However, especially these days, we can just get someone and bring it here. Immigration, the immigration
Yeah.
situation in the U.S.
Yeah.
has changed tremendously. And but Denali is an international team. If you check our website, our Instagram post, you can see I have probably like 15 players that can speak 15 languages.
Wow. Amazing.
it's it's not because we are topping or getting foreigners. It's just because our area right here is rich. It's very diverse. New York City. Though we're outside of New York City, but in the area where we at now, there's a lot of immigrants in this area. European, South American. And because of that, Denali is a celebration of diversity. We celebrate diversity every time these kids meet together, because it's really diverse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to go back to your question, as of now, we don't have that.
Can we talk a bit about the Clip for Success initiative?
Yeah, Quiz for Success initiative is this is about here in the U.S. We have so many resources in terms of soccer equipment, soccer gears, and you can see from I can see from the last you know 10 years that I've been involved with youth soccer that a lot of kids, I think a kid could have 10 pairs of shoes in a single season, especially in that age where the size of their foot keep changing rapidly.
Keep
You
changing.
know,
Yeah.
so I said, so what do we do with all these shoes? With all this used jersey, what do we do with this? So I got an idea. Okay, you know what? Let me take them, and I'll ship it to the Philippines and find a beneficiary. So the Clips for Success is basically I think again it's an initiative to recycle this used soccer gear and have it used in other parts of the world. For now, it's only the Philippines that we're targeting. Is as I said, that's where my connection is. But eventually, we'd like to expand and send this gear somewhere else that is needed instead of going to the garbage or just thrown away. So also, yeah, Quiz for Success is not. It started like that, but now we are extending it to identifying, let's say, the project in the Philippines, that La Masia, that is also um, with cooperation with Quiz for Success in order to provide a playing field. Because without the field, nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing happens without the field. You cannot play.
Right. So again, the opportunity uh, is unlimited, and all these platforms that we have started, these are all again going back to what is the advocacy. It's really grassroots. It's the support for youth soccer development, which is lacking in many areas, especially I mean in the Philippines in general. There are areas probably in Metro Manila, yeah, I see a lot of clubs already, a lot of activities. But how about the rest of the Philippines? Outside Manila, what is going on there? Um, so the vision is really to start soccer there, and have this youth get into this beautiful game, which is very transformative. Not only help you physically, but um, I think for a lot of people, it's a religion. It's something
Yeah.
that touches
Yeah.
the whole family, the community, and that excitement that I've seen. I've seen from the kids. I've seen from communities. Hopefully, someday that will be, growing in the Philippines as well.
Yes. Yes. Exciting project. And I think that moves us to going right into La Masia, the Santa Rosa.
Yes, it's a beautiful name, and I know uh, it's a big word now, La Masia. But I got this idea. It's always the back of my mind. I mean, I moved to the U.S. like 22 years ago, but it's always in my heart to help. The community where I grew up,
Yes.
and and it just so happened that I got involved with youth soccer development here in the U.S. With Denali Futbol, with my son's soccer teams, soccer clubs. So I kind of like interact with a lot of coaches, trainers. Um, so I said to myself, why not? Why not in the Philippines? And probably in the hometown where I grew up, which is Santa Rosa, in Laguna. So I said, how do we start this? Where do we start? So I tried to look for fields when I was there. I think 2016.
By
Yeah,
then I was still with the FC Metro Manila.
correct. And
Yeah.
as I said, I think that's another probably area we can discuss how we met. Um, So I was trying to figure out where are the programs? Soccer, football is the most, I mean, well-known sports in the world. It's huge. It's the biggest, right? That's why you have the
Yeah.
World Cup, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing will parallel World Cup. Nothing in terms of attendance, in terms of the presence, in terms of impact. Nothing, right? But why the Philippines is not there? And I try to do research and try to figure out the history, like why. So then then last year I had the opportunity to travel to Spain, to go back to Spain, and this trip is actually visiting key cities. In Spain, where football is really rich, like in Barcelona, Madrid, Sevilla. You know,
Yeah.
when I went to Barcelona, I went to the museum, the Barcelona Football Club Museum, and the first exhibit that I had seen in the museum, guess who? Paulino Alcantara from the Philippines.
Alcantara.
I mean, at that point, I kind of like, why? Why in the Philippines we don't have it, and yet we have this person right here being celebrated, and
Yeah.
nobody's doing follow up, nobody's capitalizing on this success, nobody's actually nobody really knows him, and if you ask a lot of Filipino, nobody knows him. I mean, as I said,
I think
only the
I think
only
that's why the last year the cup now is named Tiago
Paulino.
Alcantara Cup. Yeah, Paulino
Exactly,
Cup.
but this happened in many years ago, and his name
Yeah.
his name didn't come up, not until Messi broke his record as the highest number of goals for a club. That's only when his name came up, and the Philippines celebrated him after that by, as I said, naming one of the tournament or the cup, the Paulino
Yeah.
Alcantara Cup. But going back to that, it kind of like touches me, like, what can we do? We have this, and because of that, I said, the Filipinos, they have similar physique as South Americans. They're not, and soccer, also soccer is not, you don't need to be too tall to play soccer, and yet Filipinos are playing basketball that requires height. Oh, and I said, they have, and when you look at Europe, Europe has, almost all the big clubs in Europe. Well, almost all the clubs in Europe, they have South American players, right? So there is a
Yeah.
chance for Filipino, if given the chance to develop, given the chance to have that platform, the pathways, I think they could compete internationally. They could compete in Europe, and it had to start with training. It had to start with it had to start developing that passion, because without passion, without them, without seeing them like a kid going out and just kicking the ball in the street, without seeing that, it's just, this soccer will just stay the same.
Yeah. I
They
think
have to
that's
have this
why
passion.
Neil Etrich is really like helping the kids to realize that they can achieve whatever they want if they are dedicated to their job. Yeah.
Correct. It's very similar to what the vision of La Masia, Santa Rosa, is really giving the facility, number one, a safe facility for kids to go and learn and play soccer, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is something that is uh, because without the field, there's nowhere to go. Play on the
No.
street, which is probably unsafe, and
Yeah.
it is unsafe.
Yeah.
So if you see this kid go back, come back the next day, and still passionate about it, I think the objective of La Masia is, it's achieved. It's actually, the phase one is, planting the seed of passion, loving the game, understanding it, and through that you can build You can create generations of players. So La Masia is it's under the philosophy of this called Masa, Masa. Masa is people, right?
Okay.
So Masa is
Now I know.
yeah. La Masia is Masa. Masa means M is stands for it's manageable. We had to start something basic that kids will enjoy, and also bringing the right people to guide them. Right. That's number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two is it has to be accessible. It has to be in the local communities that is accessible for them with local transportation, and the facility is safe. Right. The third component is sustainable. You know, Again, finding the right people, the funding, what is the target market? Like, again, what we're targeting is really the masa, the common people, the kids who are, maybe out of school, or after school. They want to go there and play, meet with friends. So without that, as I said, it cannot be sustained because a lot of kids now maybe enroll in a program, pay, their parents pay, but after a year, 2 years, they're gone because it's not really. This is not really what they want to do. It's just they were
Yeah.
there because their parents are forcing them to do it.
Yeah.
So
True.
sustainable, right? And also the most important thing is the economic side. It's affordable. Affordable in a sense that this is for the public. This is for the working class. Um, I congratulate all these clubs like the Kaya or Met or Makati, Makati FC. But when I
Yeah.
see the composition, of the kids, I'm not sure how many of these kids are in that working class. Maybe they're in the upper class, or a lot of these can afford it. A lot of these families are in the middle class, but how about those in the working class or below the poverty? These are the kids that probably has the passion, a lot of passion, and you could probably see a lot of talents from this kid, from these communities. So this is where the idea of La Masia de Santa Rosa is coming in. It's for the masa, and
Yeah.
hopefully will makes progress this year because again the project got delayed because of the COVID. We're supposed to to do the program now, but because of the COVID, again that's another topic. How COVID is affecting football. I think you touched that yesterday, but
Yeah.
so to go back and to summarize it, so La Masia is really the purpose is to educate, the info session, and really to plant that seed of passion about the sports, understanding the sports, understanding who are your heroes in the sport, local heroes. A lot of these heroes we have, they had to be celebrated. And these kids who are really looking forward to be footballers, they need to understand this. It's not just about and for them to understand that, I think that's the way they will appreciate the sports. Especially this, in the coming years where, the World Cup 2026, which is the expansion from 32 teams
Mm.
to 48 teams. That is exciting because AFC will have two additional teams. And who knows, maybe Philippines will be there. Who
Philippines will
knows?
qualify.
Exactly. So, these things, all these changes, again, if you're a footballer now, you should be excited now what's happening in the football world because it's giving more opportunity. And as I said, La Masia will be there to plant the seed to these kids.
Okay. So we want to talk quickly about youth development.
For me, when we talk about youth soccer development, you're actually, it's important that you identify the right kids to develop. The kids that has that passion, that has that commitment, that has that dream to take it to the next level. because of pay to play, and because of the rising cost of soccer development, for kids to be with a club, they're gonna spend at least $1,000 a season. So what happened? Kids that are in, disadvantaged communities, or kids that really has the passion, they're not being looked at. They're being left behind because they cannot compete. They cannot afford to enroll to these clubs. And clubs are not looking at them. Why? Because these clubs are just clubs. Again, these clubs are doing what they're supposed to do, but because of the cost of renting a field, the cost of paying their coaches, it's high. Their fees are high, and because of that, a lot of kids cannot afford it. Right?
Yeah.
Another thing is the coaches themselves. There are many coaches, but there are few good teachers. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, someone who just finished a licensing course is now a coach, but are you a teacher? So again, there's a lot of things are being confused. Like, this is a license. It's not enough. You
It's not.
know,
It's not everything.
it's not everything. License is a license. It's just for regulatory purposes. But when I see coaches that know how to train, they're teachers. They can motivate kids. They can advise them to the right direction.